The outgoing director of national intelligence, James Clapper, spoke with Mr. Trump on Wednesday, just hours after Mr. Trump charged that intelligence officials were spreading lies about him. Here's what Mr. Trump said Wednesday.
I think it was disgraceful that the intelligence agencies allowed any information that turned out to be so false and fake out. I think it's a disgrace. And I say that, and that's something that Nazi Germany would have done and did do. I think it's a disgrace that information that was false and fake and never happened got released to the public.
Mr. Trump was referring to a 35-page document which contained potentially compromising but unverified information about him. Again, that document hasn't been verified. In a rare public statement, Clapper said he spoke with Mr. Trump about the document. Clapper said, "I emphasize that this document is not a U.S. intelligence community product and that I do not believe the leaks came from within the community." Mr. Clapper also said the intelligence community has not decided whether the document is reliable. But Mr. Trump tweeted this about the document. James Clapper called me yesterday to denounce the false and fictitious report that was illegally circulated. Made up, phony facts. Too bad. Frank Cilluffo is in our Washington bureau. He's Associate Vice President of the George Washington University, and he's Director of the school's Center for Cyber and Homeland Security. And also in our Washington bureau, Peter Brookes, a Senior Fellow for National Security Affairs at the Heritage Foundation. Gentlemen, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Elaine.
All right, let me begin with you, Frank. What did you think when you saw this rare public statement from James Clapper?
You know, I think that General Clapper was right to contact President-elect Trump. I mean, clearly the administration is starting in very turbulent waters, so I think as much as we can try to calm those waters, it's in everyone's best interest. And I think it's worth noting that whereas political drama seems to be the name of the game, today's confirmation hearings for both General Mattis and Mike Pompeo were pretty drama-free. So hopefully we're starting to see some calming of the waters between the incoming administration and the intelligence community.
And Peter, what did you think when you saw that statement from James Clapper?
Well, I think it's very important that the intelligence community, that the outgoing Director of National Intelligence, clear the deck for his successor and for the incoming administration. There have been some controversies, and it's very important that the White House and the intelligence community work together going forward. On January 20th, the Trump administration is going to be in charge. They're going to have to look to the intelligence community. The world doesn't stop spinning because we have an inauguration. And they're going to have to hit the ground running, and they're going to have to depend upon the men and women of the intelligence community. So despite these controversies, I think it was right for D&I Clapper to come out and say, okay, let's put this aside and put this relationship on a more positive path.
Frank, let me ask you. It seems now Mr. Trump is essentially signaling an emphasis here on cybersecurity in his first 100 days. He's ordering a report on defense against hacking and named former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani as cybersecurity advisor. What do you think about that push?
I think it was a good move. I think cybersecurity is arguably one of the greatest vulnerabilities our country faces, not only in light of recent news, but quite honestly, we lack a comprehensive cyber strategy. We lack a deterrent strategy. Just if you took note of the hearings again today and earlier this week for Tillerson and General Kelly as well, cyber, and more cyber. So I think the president-elect was right to recognize that we've got a lot of strategy at the 50,000-foot level, a lot of tactics, techniques, and procedures. What we really lack is doctrine pulling all of that together. So I do hope that this is a priority for the administration and we can move forward.
The backdrop to this, Peter, was, of course, the very public rift here. This was the headline in Politico this week, how Trump's attacks on U.S. intelligence will come back to haunt him. Do you agree with that premise that he's done some kind of irreparable damage here?
No, I don't. I think that the people in the intelligence community will do what they need to keep this country safe. They are going to continue to do their job. These are dedicated individuals that are working 24/7, 365, often going in harm's way. And I have no doubt that they will continue to do the things they need to do to support policymakers and to keep this country safe and at home and overseas.
Let's talk about Mike Pompeo and Dan Coats. So if confirmed here, Frank, what do you think the challenges they might face could be because of this rift?
You know, they do need to ensure that they've got the backs of the intelligence community, the men and women serving in harm's way. And I think Mike Pompeo took an important step toward ensuring that. Senator Coats, I think, has got a strong reputation over the years, both as a senator and someone who can govern, someone who's relatively soft-spoken but very firm. So I think right now the community needs to know that their leadership is with them, and that the intelligence community, they're not clairvoyants, they're estimators. They need to be willing to call it as they see it, and they need to know that it will be a political-free environment where they can continue to do what they need to do.
I'd like to get both your opinions on this next question. Peter, I'll start with you. Do you think America needs a director of national intelligence?
I do. I think Frank and I go back to the days after 9/11 and our concerns about stovepiping of intelligence, the issue of information sharing, the ability to coordinate among it. And I think my view is that the director of Central Intelligence had too big of a job being both the director of the agency and also the director of intelligence overall of the entire community. This is a very big community, so I think we do need somebody, a DNI, to do this. I've not been persuaded otherwise at this point.
And Frank, to people who might say, well, it's another layer of bureaucracy, you would say?
I also think we need someone who can oversee the entire community. There's 17 agencies. It's grown exponentially. I do think that there's some opportunities to maybe, I don't want to say it's bloated, but there are some opportunities, I think, where you can take a scalpel, not a sledgehammer, and start zeroing in on what really matters. But the DNI's role is an important role.
All right, lastly here, intel agencies say Vladimir Putin was trying to undermine American institutions. Has the prolonged back and forth over Russia's culpability achieved this goal, you think, Peter?
Well, we're going to have to see. Obviously, it's been a turbulent period. I think we've had some sober conversations through these confirmation hearings about Russia. And I think that it gives the American public an idea of what we're up against. It's not the only threat we face. There's North Korea and China. There's Iran, and of course there's terrorism still. But I think it gives a clearer picture of the challenges we face, especially the use of asymmetric warfare techniques and active measures by the Russians to undermine our democracy. And I expect we're going to see more of that, especially in the elections coming up in Europe this year.
All right, Peter Brookes and Frank Cilluffo in Washington. Gentlemen, thanks so much.
Thank you, Elaine.